and he walks out the door, burns all of his money, trades off his clothes to a homeless dude, gets rid of his IDs, and goes. And that's literally what this movie is about, is like Batman going, "F this, I'm going to change the system."
So his origin story is he burned all of his money.
Not all of his money, just the money in his pocket. He had a lot more. He left the rest of it. It's not. This is not a Into the Wild where it's like my last $20. This was like what he had on him.
Yeah. Okay.
Just dropped his wallet.
What's that? Well, the tumbler? Oh, you wouldn't be interested in that.
So what do you think? Does it come in black?
Welcome to the iKnowBadeaux podcast.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the iKnowBadeaux podcast. Coming at you from the Slice on Oak Studios. I am Mayor Dave Badeaux of the city of Brainerd, and with me, as always, is my brother.
Nice.
Wow. I think I leave it. Gabriel Johnson, I say save us, but this time, I don't know.
I got nothing.
Okay, good. Thank God. I just got back from Texas. We have plenty to talk about with that in the upcoming weeks. However, this week we got something to get done. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Be Kind Rewind. 2005, Part 2. Last week we talked about 2005, the pop culture, history, television. One of the things that we skipped over very quickly was the music.
Yeah, what did we even mention? Just Gwen Stefani?
Gwen Stefani, Hollaback,
Hollaback.
Yes.
and that was the end of it.
Yeah.
Scott, I think you have something to say about 2005
there was another album that dropped in 2005 that I listened to for like 2 hours at work and completely forgot that I even listened to it.
What?
And that is the rap debut of one Jonathan Cena. Oh, wow.
2005, folks. Gwen Stefani, Hollaback, and
John Cena as a rapper.
That you instantly forget.
I completely forgot I even listened to it.
Yeah. I think that's worse than hating it or loving it or having anything to say about
It
it.
had no impact on my life whatsoever.
I didn't even know it existed.
I can listen to songs on repeat for hours at a time.
Mm-hmm. Same here. I'm the same way.
Bill.
Yeah, let's take that back. Yeah. You can listen to a note for hours on end.
Yeah, I think I probably got about a little over an hour, maybe an hour and a half of just trying to consume this album. And finally, I was just like, I have to turn this off.
Yeah, we have to be done with this. Super fast, before we actually get into movies, I do want to say, going back to having been in Texas, I pulled up Spotify, and while I was working on some stuff before I went, I got down a rabbit hole of Black Keys, White Stripes, Kings of Leon.
Mm-hmm. Good stuff.
And so that's all I was listening to while we were in Texas. And I came to realize this is all what I was listening to in 2005.
Yeah.
So I will say that. Like, we had made fun of the music from 2005, but if you're going down that rabbit hole specifically, like Kings of Leon, it was actually really cool. Aha Shake Heartbreak, I believe, came out in 2005, and that's such a bizarre album, but I really enjoy it. Beck, like, we literally, I'm not kidding you, everything we were listening to this entire last week was just 2005, but then also Weird Al Yankovic. So I got my kids introduced to Weird Al Yankovic, and I'm going to say this. In a couple weeks, folks, one Timothy Severson is going to come down, and we are going to do a Weird Al episode.
Nice.
All right.
My kids were about 5-6 years old when I introduced them to Weird Al too. Magical.
Yeah, turns out it still slaps with the elementary school age. Still slaps. So, all right, let's get to it, though. The movies of 2005. Where should we start? I, on my list here, have the comic book movies. Are you guys okay with starting there?
Sure.
Yeah, you didn't tell me in advance.
Okay, well, that's where we're going with this.
All right.
my take on this from 2005 is that I think where we are now with comic book movies is so far removed from where this was.
Yes.
And I actually will say that I thoroughly enjoyed a handful of these movies. So the ones I have on my list in front of me, and you tell me if we're going to talk about them or not, but V for Vendetta.
Yes.
Batman Begins.
Oh, yeah.
Sin City.
Yeah.
I have comments. And then I also have on here as a little extra Constantine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All of which coming from graphic novels or comic books, all of which with a kind of a stylistic approach to a movie.
Everything's all dark and broody.
Very different from today's comic book movies. So can we start with V for Vendetta?
Yes.
All of us have consumed this one, correct?
Yes.
Okay, give me your go.
Well, I'll go first. I can suspend disbelief.
Yes.
Right? I like enjoying a good movie.
Yes.
But in this movie where you had like a totalitarian state invent a virus to scare the populace, to maintain control over them, it just seemed totally too far-fetched for me.
Too outlandish.
Just way out there.
I will admit that I had somehow forgot about the virus part of
I didn't
this.
Right.
So when it got to that, I was like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. What a fantastic time to watch a movie about a virus 5 years removed.
Yeah, it's like,
from.
That's where they got the idea. A graphic novel.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of their people. Remember the 5th of November, the gunpowder, treason, and plot. I know of no reason why the gunpowder treason should ever be forgot.
I'm ready.
This country stands on the edge of oblivion.
I want everyone to remember why they need us.
Kill him. I suddenly had this feeling that everything was connected. We're all part of it. Are we ready for it? The only verdict is vengeance.
I really, really remember enjoying this movie a lot back in the day. What was your take on it, having revisited it?
I still love it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I really loved it when I was in high school. But I say it still holds up.
Okay.
I think it's a good story.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a fun watch after. I probably haven't seen it for 15 years. And the Guy Fawkes character, like I love Guy Fawkes, great folk hero for us Catholics trying to blow up the king back in the 1600s. But the Guy Fawkes mask, which has endured to this day with protesters, and it really boils back to V for Vendetta. And it really reminds me of the Ron Paul revolution of 2008. Where we Ron Paul supporters used Guy Fawkes as our rallying cry.
I think it's interesting because it's an interesting story. Again, from the comic book side of things, it's interesting that we've had a couple of these now, right? Where these movie studios are looking for new content and new stories that they can just adapt. And so we had like the League of Extraordinary
Right, I was going to say, it's all Alan Moore.
Which was also adapted from the same graphic novel, I believe.
It was same dude.
Yeah, same author.
Yeah. But and similar themes too, right? But yeah, it's very interesting. The thing I find really interesting is that they try to be very, they try not to take it to a whimsical state on these. It's very gritty. Grounded and gritty. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say grounded.
Well, kind of.
but they even Batman Begins, which we'll talk about in a minute here. Like it is the time frame in which James Bond goes back to being I would even say goes beyond, but goes to let's knock this down to like what someone like this would really be.
Right.
And I found it really interesting that they're taking these and trying to make mildly faithful adaptations of these stories and doing a pretty good job. I would say of these ones, Sin City, I just don't like, and we can talk about that in a minute. But these other 3 movies are all really good movies that come from a comic book, feel like a comic book, but without doing what Sin City does, which is like, let's look.
Right. Shot for shot.
Yeah. With stupid animations and stuff. I don't know. I don't need it to look like a comic book, but I do want it to feel slightly like we're going pain by pain through a story.
There was a little bit of that, like in the final sequence at V for Vendetta,
Yeah.
like with the knives coming out and the lines
Sure.
coming behind it, and right, it was totally a comic book sequence in that final scene.
Yeah, I'll agree to that. But it's not like I hate to shit on Sin City without getting to it, so maybe let's just get to it.
Yeah, let's go.
I don't like Sin City. I actually actively don't like that movie.
I haven't seen it since probably high school.
Don't know if I did.
Okay, I haven't seen it since then either, but because I don't.
So let's shot on it.
Well, because I didn't like it at the time. Maybe my feelings would change. It was just, and I'll be honest with you, it's Robert Rodriguez. I don't like Robert Rodriguez, and I thought I did. And we talked about this before. I thought I liked Robert Rodriguez until probably about, well, Once Upon a Time in Mexico is where I first was like, well, wait a minute, it's just slightly off. I don't know what it is about it, but it's just slightly off. And then this movie came out, and I was like, oh, you're the reason why Kill Bill Volume 2 sucks. Go away.
And stop hanging out with Quentin.
Yeah, get away from Quentin. Quentin was doing great, and then you came along and made things fucking slow and boring and weird.
Yeah, just weird.
Yeah, go with Sin City, and then we'll work our way back.
I loved that movie when I was in high school.
Really?
I loved it.
Okay.
It's just stylistically different than anything you'd ever seen.
Yeah, absolutely.
I liked the Marv story.
Okay.
The shot where he's gathering up all of his tools for the fight that he's got coming on.
Yep.
And he just like lays them all out.
It reminds me of Home Alone.
And the one at the end is just, and my mitts. It's badass.
Yeah, all right. All right.
I checked the list. Rubber tubing, gas, saw, gloves, cuffs, razor wire, hatchet, ladders, and my mitts.
I think it's interesting because, yeah, you're talking, Mickey Rourke, right?
Yeah.
But also Clive Owen and Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a cast. Shot very interestingly. I don't like the overlays. I think the black and whiteness of it and the keeping kind of that high contrast, it is either black or it's white. I think that's a really cool look. You got 3 great actors. I'm looking at it right now on IMDb, and it's showing the directors as Frank Miller, Robert Rodriguez, and Quentin Tarantino.
Oh, I don't remember the Tarantino bit.
I didn't remember that at all. So
he's probably got like one scene.
Yeah, they're at least listing him as a director's credit here, which is weird to me.
So they were still kicking it.
Oh yeah, this is when they were in. Heavily in cahoots. One leaning, one astray, I would say. Because this is before, what was is it Death Proof? Is that
Yeah.
Because Grindhouse. So it was
Right.
Grindhouse, Death Proof was Tarantino's version of Grindhouse. And again, that was where I was like, is Tarantino not what I thought he was? Turns out it was just Robert Rodriguez.
He directed one scene from the Sin City film and is credited as a guest director.
Okay. Do we know what the scene was? That's good. Is it the one where he says,
It's probably the
"And
one.
my mitts"?
And my mitts.
No, it's the car scene with Clive Owen and Benicio del Toro.
Oh God, yeah, that's what seems.
With like the dead Benicio with the thing sticking out of his head talking to him.
Yeah, that's very Quentin Tarantino.
That's Quentin.
Yeah. But yeah, I will just come right out and say it. I have said it. This movie, maybe if I went back and watched it, and maybe I should have, this would have been a great opportunity to do that. I just have such a visceral reaction to this movie that I just don't want to watch it again. I just, especially after Kill Bill Volume 2, I was like, man, I really remember not liking Kill Bill Volume 2. I should rewatch that and see if I don't like it. And then realizing I don't like Kill Bill Volume 2.
I think you owe it to the audience to at least revisit it before you're talking shit about something that's 20 years old.
It is true. I don't think so. Once it gets 20 years old, it's the anniversary. We can talk. But you're probably right. It probably does deserve, at least a second look. But I just don't like Robert Rodriguez. I just don't. I don't know how to change that.
Yeah.
I was a guy, because again, this is straight out of film school. This is like me and my filmiest. And this is the stuff that I should have, I wanted to like this because people liked it and it was stylistic. This is, here's a good one for you. God, to lose some of our audience real quick. I feel about this how I feel about Boondock Saints.
Oh, that's a good one.
That is a terrible, it is
good
a
movie.
Terrible, watch it again. It is dog.
I refuse to.
I hate that movie. So that's how I feel about this movie.
When did Boondock Saints come out?
Early
Late
2000s. Yeah, like 99-ish.
Oh, okay.
98, 90. I think it was 90. Well, we can look it up. I mean, we literally have the technology.
Wow.
Et file. Spirito Santo.
1999.
Oh, wow.
Oh, I hate that movie. Everybody loves it. It's not good. Watch it again. It's not
All right,
good.
I know what I'm watching tonight.
Yeah, and come back and report. So anyways, Sin City.
Yeah, okay movie.
Yeah,
I
but
wouldn't say it's bad.
I don't like it, but it's not bad, right? It's like my tastes are very much like ew to this movie.
What is it on IMDb? A 6.3?
Oh,
it's probably 6.8.
Oh God, you really want to know?
Yeah.
I mean, you really want to know? Okay, give me your legit takes.
I'd 6.3.
6.8?
6.8. Okay. 8.0.
Wow.
Oh, it's an all-time great.
People are going to hate me. We try to be careful about when we do that type of stuff because it's really a bad idea to just alienate your audience.
Right. Hey, guys, remember this thing you like? It's terrible. You're a fucking idiot.
I hate it. But yeah, 8.0 is way too high for that, and everyone should be ashamed of themselves for having voted for it for that. But I will say this, Bruce Willis, huge on my list. Mm-hmm. Clive Owen, big on my list. Yeah. Mickey Rourke, you want to get into like the wrestler?
Mm-hmm.
Come on, looking great. Let's go back to V for Vendetta though, can we?
Yeah.
I think part of the reason why I don't like Sin City is because V for Vendetta is what I would like to see something like that be, right? Like stylistic, it feels like a comic book. You've got your moments that are very scripted. Like you can tell you're going through the panels, but it's not shot as though it looks like you're going through the panels. It's still a movie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We're still making a movie. And I don't know. There's just something about it. I was worried going back to it. I thought there's no way I'm going to like this movie as much as I did then. I'm in the same camp as you. Like I didn't think it was the greatest film of all time, but I thought it was really fucking good.
V?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember loving it and then watching it again and like, oh,
what happened? If you guys had to guess what IMDb has V for Vendetta rated right in front of me right now.
It's got to be at least 8.1.
Okay, Scott?
I mean, it can't be worse than Sin City.
Well, what would you say?
8.7.
Gabe, you are dead on balls. 8.1.
It is just a bit better.
Just a tiny bit better.
Simply add that it's my very good honor to meet you, and you may call me V.
Are you like a crazy person?
I'm quite sure they will say so.
Great cast. You got Hugo as your Guy Fawkes. Never actually see his face.
Nope.
Which is
awesome.
Awesome.
So great.
Well, he was burnt to shit. You wouldn't have seen his face anyway.
Yeah, but you can still show. I mean,
They would have
Ryan
showed him
that.
beforehand.
Oh, yeah, they could have shown him in the concentration camp. Yeah.
Yep. The mask on the entire movie is a great touch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We don't need to pull the mask up.
Yep.
We don't need to.
Even when he dies. Usually, like, that's,
Yeah.
at least at that time, the girl would, like, pull the mask
Right.
off.
You get your Vaders.
Yep. No, terrible idea. We can't be doing that. I am actually surprised at the director of this movie. So I'm going to say his name wrong, but it's James McTeigue. T-E-I-Q or G-U-E. Critique?
What?
Teague?
Teague? McTeigue. I was surprised by that because I thought I remembered this being directed by the Wachowskis. It is not.
That's weird.
Yes.
I never thought that.
You never thought
me
that was?
neither, because it wasn't.
Well, it was marketed as being from the Wachowskis, but they were just producers on the film.
Okay.
It is written by the Wachowskis, so that's why I thought that it was a Wachowskis movie.
Weird.
Yeah. You guys didn't think that at all?
I don't remember the Wachowskis being involved in it at
No, didn't remember the marketing or anything.
That's crazy to me. Like, that was the whole thing I remembered about this movie. Was like, yeah, the Wachowskis can get things
I remembered
done.
Guy Fawkes.
Isn't it Frank Miller too?
No, it's not Frank Miller, actually. I was surprised. I thought V for Vendetta was Frank Miller. It is not Frank Miller. It is David Lloyd, I think.
Oh, sorry, Alan Moore.
No, I don't think it's Alan Moore. I think you're incorrect about that.
V for Vendetta, novel by Alan Moore.
Okay,
Yeah, he's the author of the...
folks, it is Alan Moore. It is Alan Moore.
Yeah, I think Alan Moore didn't want anything to do with this because of how terrible A League of Extraordinary Gentlemen was.
He never wants anything to do with any of his movies.
He just wants to hate on him.
Oh, okay.
Much like us. He just wants to talk shit.
I always get Alan Moore and Frank Miller mixed up.
Yes, and rightfully so.
I wish I wasn't afraid all the time, but I am.
Natalie Portman.
Great job.
Fantastic job.
Incredible.
Young in this, but does just phenomenal.
Past is young enough for a priest to want her.
Yeah, let's talk about that real quick. This movie deals with a lot of vices and a lot of perversions, let's say. Like, that's the one thing I do like about the overarching government part of it. It's like, what will the things they come after us be? You know, and the one that stuck out to me was butter. It's like, fucking right, the government would come after us for butter. The butter's delicious. The government.
We love it. They're just going to not let us have it and hoard it all to themselves.
Yes, but the government will shield those who are pedophiles.
Yes.
Because why the hell not? That's the government. Why
Well, the
wouldn't it?
pedophiles even get butter.
Yeah, the pedophiles get the butter, and Natalie Portman only if she's young enough.
It's interesting how when you have a one-party totalitarian state, like they did a good job of showing what that would look like.
Yeah.
Just as our current government has.
Yeah, exactly what it is. Final thoughts on V for Vendetta.
Watch it. It's a great movie.
Holds up.
Definitely holds up. I also will say that I thought it was less Wachowski than I thought it would be. And I say that with like karate chops. That was my motion that I made was karate chops, like Wachowski. And turns out, yeah, it wasn't directed by them. But there's only the few scenes where he's moving and fighting, where they like at the very end they finally do the blades. I would almost call them sais. His sais are flying through the air. But
the classic, my turn.
Yeah.
My turn.
Ouch. I didn't like that. I mean, it's way overplayed now. At the time, maybe it wasn't so much, but
yeah.
But the trails behind the blades and then the gratuitous blood.
Lots of blood.
As the stabbing and slicing. It's
Yep.
very comic booky.
Yeah. Very good. Also led to one of my all-time favorite bits, which is Between Two Ferns, Zach Galifianakis, Natalie Portman.
okay.
You shaved your head for V for Vendetta. Did you also shave your V for vagina?
You shaved your head for V for Vendetta. Did you also shave your V for vagina?
My all-time favorite Zach Galifianakis bit, and he's got a lot of good Zach.
Yeah.
But what a great setup for that joke too. Sitting next to the person, them pretending that they have no idea that's coming.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, let's move on from that though, but stay in the same category. Let's talk Batman Begins real quick. Your takes on Batman Begins, go.
Haven't watched it much. I think this is a movie that I've never actually sat down and watched start to finish.
Are you serious?
But I've seen many parts, many different times.
So I'm the only one that watched this one again. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
I've never seen it.
You've never seen Batman Begins?
I've never seen any Batman that doesn't have
George Clooney.
No.
Adam West.
Who's the first guess?
Keaton.
Not Adam West. Keaton. Michael Keaton.
Does that mean you've watched the recent Flash movie, which is also not great?
No.
He reprises his role. You would love it.
I'm still trying to get up to Beetlejuice.
You've never seen Val Kilmer? Batman Forever?
Heard of him.
Wow. I would recommend. I actually like
Pump up the volume.
I like Val Kilmer as Batman for some reason. I went into this movie thinking that it was less than the other Batman movies in this trilogy, The Dark Knight and then The Dark Knight Returns.
Even without having seen it much, I believe that it's better than The Dark Knight Returns.
Okay.
I didn't really much care for that movie.
I'm going to agree to you on that. I think it is the weakest. I thought it was the second. I remembering this, had consumed it too many times, thought that the sheen had washed off of it, and so therefore placed it third. I now can confidently say this is better than Batman Returns.
Batman Returns.
Excuse me. The Dark Knight Returns.
Is it also better than Batman Returns?
It is better than Batman
It's
Returns.
not as good as Batman Begins.
Batman Returns is not as good as people remember. I think it's great, but I actually like Batman 89 better than I like Batman Returns. Batman Begins, though, is a fantastic movie. I went back and rewatched it, thoroughly enjoyed it. Hans Zimmer, anytime you get him on the orchestra, directing your entire theme, if you will. What do you call that? OST.
Yes, your soundtrack.
Your soundtrack. What is it? It's not just the theme, though. It's the... What is it called? Like, what's the full
score?
The score.
Yeah, there it
That's
is.
the word I'm looking for. How do I make theme sound better? Score. That's the word.
Make it with an orchestra.
Yes. But anytime you got him in the background, whatever you're doing is great. And this movie is a great example of that. Swooping shot as he's walking up a glacier. But swooping shot as he's walking up a glacier with Hans Zimmer in the background.
Oh, just
oof.
So many deep horns.
Oh man, and just long notes.
Yeah, right.
The longest notes. We are just that you can tell this journey is long because that note is so long. We are beginning. Somewhere is going to hit the middle, but there will be no end. I love Nolan, Chris Nolan.
Sir Christopher Nolan.
Sir Christopher. I called him Chris. I didn't even call him Christopher, and he's Sir.
Well, Chrissy Nolan.
Pardon me, Chrissy Nolan. Sir Christopher Nolan, love him. Love Hans Zimmer. Love Christian Bale. There's not a lot you can do to go wrong with this. I remembered the third act of this movie getting a little squirrely, as Batman movies tend to do, including the newest one. But it's a great journey. You know, you go back and you do the how did Batman become, the pearls,
how did Batman
the gun.
begin?
Yes, the pearls, the gun. But again, this is very much going off of the Frank Miller novels and some of the other graphic novels that took Batman in a darker direction, which is a really fun experience.
How did Batman begin?
He watched his father and his mother get murdered in an alley.
Okay, and then made a bunch of money to fight crime?
He already had a bunch of money. So his dad was the wealthiest man in Gotham. He took over.
So he's a trust fund brat.
Well, but that's the best part of Batman. And we've talked about this. The best part of Batman is he's just a super rich dude that then kind of shuns that and is like, screw that, I'm going to go get down and dirty. And
in Batman and Robin, he pulled out the Bat card.
That's why I hate that movie. That's why I hate that movie. He's stupid. That's a stupid version of Batman. I like the Batman that's like, literally what he does in this is there's a scene where he meets with the crime boss. The crime boss basically says, you think you can do anything to stop me? You can't stop me, right? There's nothing you can do. I'll go back to your ivory tower and just stay the hell out of Gotham, he basically says, right? Go back to your rich boy bullshit. I run this. And he walks out the door, burns all of his money, trades off his clothes to a homeless dude, gets rid of his IDs, and goes. And that's literally what this movie is about, is like Batman going, fuck this, I'm going to change the system.
So his origin story is he burned all of his money.
Not all of his money, just the money in his pocket. He had a lot more. He left the rest of it. It's not. This is not a Into the Wild where it's like my last $20. This was like what he had on him.
Yeah. Okay,
just dropped his wallet.
And you know what's funny about that is, I'm pretty sure Bruce fucking Wayne can find a new ID real quick, real fucking quick.
Let me have it. It's a nice coat. Be careful who sees you with that. They're gonna come looking for me. Who? Everyone. It's a nice coat.
But the thing I really like is the theme. It's the theme of fear, which was very much coming off of where we were. As we've said in these episodes, what we like to talk about is like the journey of bringing us to where we are. And this time frame, this is post 9/11. This is right in the middle of we are now going to war because people have weapons of mass destruction, ? And
Exclamation point. We see him.
Did you see this little vial?
Yeah, that's straight out of the Atomic playset.
Yeah.
Don't put it in your mouth.
Yeah. But it's all about fear. And so much so that what I like about this movie the most is the villain is the Scarecrow, and his power is inducing fear. The whole plot that gets very Batman-y is they're going to shoot off all of this fear gas and then really, really mess everybody up.
Don't they like
The
poison the water?
government putting drugs into the system to make people scared?
The shadow government.
Don't believe it.
What I do like about this though is that it actually happens. So like they set off the thing, and if in just one condensed area, but there's a great scene
They
where
quarantine that area too?
No, that's where the prison was. They didn't have to let them all get sick, just like the old people. Just lock them in.
Yeah, they're already in the home.
Just
They've
lock
got
them.
nowhere to go.
All right, we're getting nowhere with this with you two. We're getting nowhere. So I apologize to our audience. Batman Begins, it's overplayed. I have it on DVD 4 times over, Blu-ray 7 times over. Like we used to play a DVD game at Christmas, and I'm pretty sure that our family came home with Batman Begins every fucking year. So I have this 7 times over. I thought I was over it, much like I said with... what was the movie I said I had watched it for the last time? Napoleon Dynamite.
Ah, yes.
I thought I had reached that point with Batman Begins. Having given it some distance and going back, it's still a fantastic movie. And especially the scene where they show him in when the dude is freaking out because he's on the drugs, and they show Batman as you would be if you were afraid of Batman. It's like, Jesus Christ. You didn't fuck around with that. My kids can't watch this.
No.
Close your eyes, kid. Batman's on the screen.
How does he end up in the mountains training with Ra's al Ghul?
That's the fun part, right? So he throws all of his shit away, and then somehow gets to China anyways. So then he ends up in China
without
in
a
prison.
passport or ID or anything.
It might be Taiwan, but he ends up in prison, and then they come and find him.
Okay.
Ra's al Ghul finds him and says, "If you want to know life, you come to the top of the mountain." And then he comes to the top of the mountain
and trains to be a ninja.
He does. Batman Begins ninja,
and then just uses gadgets for the rest of his career.
Well, and even in the training, they talk so much about being a ninja and stealth and whatever. The entire bit is just them sword fighting.
Yeah, it is.
They don't train any ninja stuff except for sword fighting.
He uses the art of deception and fear, Scott. The art of deception and fear. Watch it again. Jesus Christ.
It's more like a magician than a ninja.
Yeah. No, ninjas aren't real. Nor are magicians. All right, let's move the fuck on. Constantine is great as well. Go watch it. It actually holds up. I really enjoyed that movie. Again,
I'm still holding out hope for a second one.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hear it's happening.
He wants to. Why would you not let the man do it? It made money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's Keanu in an action role. The John Wick movies are fucking killing it all the time.
Those made a couple bucks.
Yeah. And he wants to do it. Like, let the man do it. Why are you telling the man he can't do this? I don't get it. It's crazy. All right. 2005 was also a pivotal year for comedies.
Yes.
Let's talk comedies. Scott, 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Watched this last night.
Okay.
still pretty funny. But I listened to the commentary track.
Okay.
And it might be the horniest thing I have ever listened to in my life.
Really?
What?
I wasn't prepared for this.
They have like every single person on the cast in the room doing commentary at the same time.
Just trying to get off?
But they would like, it's nothing, but I mean, it's like dick jokes.
Yeah.
But every single person on there won't stop talking about making out with Leslie Mann, who is Judd Apatow's wife.
Yeah,
so
in the room?
Oh, yeah. And she's in there.
Great.
So it's just a fucking horn fest, dude. At one point, the producer has to come into the room and hands a note to Judd Apatow, and Judd Apatow reads it out loud, and he says, the producer just came in and gave me a note. It says, less semen, more emotion.
I just got handed a note by our producer, Shauna, who wrote this direction for this whole commentary. Less semen, more emotion.
So we went from last in 2004 with the greatest commentaries of all time, just being f***ing around, to like clearly, all right, maybe it's time to give these things a rest for a little bit.
It was wild. I had to take a break a couple of times. I was like, I can't listen to these guys anymore.
Too many people in the room too?
They did a really good job. For how many people were in the room, they do a really good job of not talking over each other. I was actually really impressed with that. But everybody just says the same.
Which is just they want to f*** his wife?
Kinda. But then you find out in there that so little of the movie was scripted. Like so little of it. And the whole premise of the movie started from, I believe it's called Twin Cities.
Nope.
No, not Twin Cities.
Second City.
Second City.
Yep.
Which was a sketch comedy group that Steve Carell was in.
Yep.
And it was a bit that he always wanted to work into the show but never could.
Yep.
And after shooting Anchorman and doing all the improv there, Judd Apatow went up to him and said, you're really good at this. Are there any other ideas you have? And he gave him a bunch of ideas. And just as he was about to leave, he was like, well, actually, there was this one that I always really wanted to do but never could. And it was just about a guy who had never had sex at a poker game with a bunch of guys.
The scene from the movie of the poker game.
That scene is the entire premise of the character.
That was the sketch he had in his head.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it just became the movie, which was just like, okay, we're just going to put these guys in a room and go.
Yeah.
I read it surpassed 1 million feet of film.
Oh, really?
Which Technicolor bought champagne for the whole cast for the after party. He would just let the cameras roll, and they would just keep going, and he would take about 1 million feet of
How
film.
is that? So hearing that, right? Anchorman wraps. You then start this and still have this out the year after Anchorman, having shot all that footage. That's crazy. The editing process of that is crazy.
Right.
I watched some of the behind the scenes stuff, and I had heard that story as well, and it's a fantastic story. I actually like the behind the scenes of what the industry is like.
Yeah.
So this is the biggest thing I think from this movie is this defines where comedy goes in the next 10 years, right? You've got your Adam McKays and your Will Ferrells, and then the break off of that, and you've got your Judd Apatows, which is an entire subgenre of comedy for a decade, and it creates the careers of all the people that are in there. Fat Jonah Hill is in there, and Jonah Hill's big in this.
Oh yeah,
Jonah Hill is probably his biggest in this.
Probably.
Yeah. But that whole section goes off on its own thing. Your Pineapple Express and that whole side of things take off from this. It's crazy to me. I would say the same thing that you said. It's not as funny as I would have liked it to be. I laughed at it. There are funny bits, but it's more so bits that are funny than jokes that are really funny.
Yeah.
I would actually say the improv in this is weaker than in Anchorman.
I would agree.
Yeah.
You're gay for saying that.
I'm gay for saying that.
You know how I know you're gay?
How? How do you know I'm gay?
Because you macrameed yourself a pair of jean shorts.
You know I know you're gay? You just told me you're not sleeping with women anymore.
You know how I know that you're gay?
How? Because you're gay and you can tell who other gay people are?
You know how I know you're gay?
How?
You like Coldplay.
What a fantastic story, though. Like, okay, I've wanted to do this forever. Nobody will let me do it.
I've wanted to do a 3-minute sketch of this forever.
Yeah. Well, but then here's how Hollywood works. Judd Apatow then goes, I can sell that.
Yeah.
And that's all it's about. That's all it's about. Do you have an idea that I can sell? And then once you've sold it, now you get to go write it. And then for these guys, you don't even have to be necessarily have written the best thing.
Right.
You just have to have the premise that's solid, that we can get someone to give us a check for, write a script for it that they will actually tell us we can shoot, and then just go do 1 million. Did you say feet?
1 million feet.
1 million feet of film. That's insane. That's not even acceptable. I don't think that's acceptable. That's why digital exists now. You've killed film.
But as they were shooting, I also read that Steve Carell was worried it was going to get canceled by the studio. So he was working on a side project to rewrite the script without any swear words in it.
Oh, really?
I did not hear that.
Oh, I didn't hear that either.
Yeah, so to make it a clean version.
Okay.
To still get it made, but this one made it through.
In case they didn't, yeah. Yeah, so this is written by Steve Carell as well. Him and Judd Apatow, which is great. What is his name? I'm even forgetting. Pineapple Express.
Seth Rogen.
Seth Rogen is heavily involved in the writing of this, specifically with like specific jokes that make it to the film. I enjoyed it. I thought it was. I think it is 100% like a time capsule of 2005.
Yeah.
Like, you watch this movie and you're like, oh yeah, most of this doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
Yeah. The Circuit City. Like, wow, yeah, Circuit City. Yeah, wow. That does not exist anymore. Like that job, people going to work to have that job. It's like, wow, yeah, that doesn't exist anymore. Maybe a Best Buy, but even that's totally different now.
I haven't been to a Best Buy in 5 years.
They don't sell anything anymore. It's weird. It's like, what is this store? You don't have things. What is this? Oh, you have trinkets now?
Huh.
Yeah, it's like trinkets now.
I like the fun.
Buy a Mountain Dew on the way out.
Yeah. It's like what do you call the game store? GameStop.
Yeah.
GameStop's like, oh yeah, we don't sell games anymore. We sell trinkets. So Best Buy's like, yeah, we sell trinkets too. That's literally all that store is now. It's weird. It's a weird place to go into. There is no C library of DVDs and media.
Oh, that was beautiful back in the day. All the DVDs, all the CDs.
It was it was the entire middle of the store, and not all of that's gone. All of it's gone, and it was not replaced with much. Like they didn't like go like, you know what we should put here? Like, no, we should just not put.
Right now they're like a cell phone retailer, basically.
basically, and they'll tell you like we don't even need you to buy the phone here. It's such a weird place. Like go try and buy a phone at Best Buy. It's so fucking weird. It's like this isn't even what do you sell here? You don't sell anything.
Like they sell your own stuff on eBay.
Yeah. pretty much.
Which was shot in an actual sell your stuff on eBay store.
Right,
Yeah.
that store really existed.
Yeah. Wait, this was 40-year-old virgin or?
Yeah.
The eBay store?
The we sell your stuff on eBay.
Yes.
That was just a building across the
God.
street, and they were like, "Yep, that's it.
We'll take it."
That's where she's gonna be.
Yeah. Well, because this was an actual Circuit City, which is not a fun fact. But really, we sell your stuff on eBay. Yeah, that's a good way to make money.
It's 2005.
2005. Yeah, most of this movie, I'm just like watching. I love that it starts with the alarm clock, as every comedy does. It's starting off his day. We're going to see who is this character. We can figure it out in 5 minutes if we just show what his morning's like.
Yep.
You can learn everything you need to know about this guy.
Just wax that whole Teen Wolf thing off.
No! Kelly Clarkson! Help! I hate you! Stop smiling!
The best scene in the entire movie is, of course, the waxing scene.
Yeah. That is like the only thing I could find for behind the scenes.
That's all anyone wants to talk about.
I saw 9 different videos of different perspectives of the behind the scenes. Judd Apatow was on the Rich Eisen podcast.
Yep.
Steve Carell talked about it on a bunch of different places.
Twice on
Fallon.
Twice.
Yeah.
Yep.
Joe Rogan talking with Kelly Clarkson.
Yep.
Where she complains that everywhere she goes, she could go to fucking China. and everybody just yells at her, Kelly Clarkson!
That specific joke written by
Seth Rogen.
Yep. Yeah. That's great. And then it makes it in, you know. I think that's the crazy part is that you can't really improv that scene very well.
Right.
Yeah. On Rich Eisen, Judd Apatow was talking about how that whole thing came from him going to Action Park, which we've talked about before.
Oh, yeah.
So at Action Park, where everyone went on these rides that would get you hurt, there was just a line of people going to the nurse and she would just spray antiseptic on him, and they could swear at her for like, fuck you.
Yeah. You motherfucker.
Which is where that whole scene came from. Other than, I do think that's the really cool part of that is Steve Carell writing that into himself.
Right.
I want to do this because I think it will be funny to actually get the hair ripped off.
Yeah, and you see him before, like before he does it, he goes, I don't think it's going to hurt that bad.
Yeah, no, it hurt.
And the girl that did it said she was just an actress, but she said she had experience as a waxer. But everybody at the end was like, I don't think she was telling the truth about that.
Yeah, like the waxing experience.
Yeah, like her family may have owned place.
She said her family owned a salon, and that's what she did was wax. Turns out that was not true. She was just an actress.
And the way everybody found that out was because when you're waxing somebody, you have to put down like Vaseline over the nipples before you put the wax down.
Boy.
Because if you don't, you will straight up rip your fucking nipples off. And so she went to do that, and like the producer or somebody had to step in and be like, whoa, 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 whoa. No, you can't do that. Like,
we've got a million feet of film here, but we're going to stop for a second here. Can you hold on a second? Don't rip his nipple off. Yeah, that's great. I think that's one of the better behind the scenes stories of a film in which, because everyone lies. On any resume you've ever had, right? And of course, if you're an actor, you can be like, of course I can wax. Well,
You're looking for somebody to work in a salon? I've got all the experience.
Yeah, I know how to ride a motorcycle.
Yeah, and she's like, it's 2005. YouTube's available. I can watch this. I can see what's happening. No, it turns out she almost ripped Steve Carell's nipple off.
Oh, God. What's next? No, you're doing the nipple.
Oh, not the nipple. Come
Not
on.
the nipple. Not the nipple.
Not
please.
the nipple.
Please, Cal, hold my hand.
You kidding me, man?
Hold my goddamn hand, man.
Really good movie. Holds up. Not as funny as I would like it to be now. I think having just watched Anchorman doesn't quite hit the beats that Anchorman does. I'm also less Judd Apatow than I am Adam McKay. Personally, I think his movies are heavy into dicks.
Oh yeah.
That man likes a dick.
Oh, and that's the entire commentary, dude.
Yes.
The entire commentary is everybody on the cast talking about dicks.
Yeah, he likes dicks a lot. Like, full frontal nudity was not a thing in the 90s. Judd Apatow said that in 2000s we will have full frontal nudity, male nudity. You will see dongs in my movie, and you do it every one. And every time I go, you got me. Okay, it's kind of funny, but it's not that funny. Stop doing it.
The leaning over to pee because you wake up with morning wood.
Yeah, the very first shot of the movie, is, other than him hitting his alarm clock, is him with a boner walking to the bathroom.
And he has to physically bend over to aim it into the toilet. That's funny.
That's funny.
It's a funny movie.
Very funny movie. Hats off to the entire cast there. This is Paul Rudd ascending.
Yeah.
You've got him in Anchorman. You get him in this. This is the beginning of him taking off. Steve Carell, what a 1-2 punch of 2005. The Office and this.
Well, and I read The Office was unsure of him the first season. And then he nailed it so well in 40-Year-Old Virgin that they kind of took some of that character to make him more relatable or likable.
Sure.
And less of a bad guy.
Sure.
Into The Office. So for future seasons, 40-Year-Old Virgin was the trajectory.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting thing because you have a character that you have wanted to do forever. It gets made into a movie. At the same time, you're doing a character on a TV show that both are not for sure things. And to have them both hit and be compatible, right? Yep. That's the cool thing about it. Because you are correct. In The Office, Michael could be a dude that you just cannot stand.
Absolutely.
Because he's kind of supposed to be just that boss that you don't like.
He's the aloof boss that doesn't give a shit.
Yeah. But he has to be, you have to be able to be in on the joke that he's an idiot for it to actually do well. And in order to do that, there has to be vulnerability. And so you are correct. Like I hadn't thought about that, but you are correct that, there is a sense from this. Because in this, he's very vulnerable. He's a very vulnerable character. I think the funniest stuff is just him. So there's one scene, and the only reason I saw it is because I had to start clipping to things to make sure I watched them because I wasn't going to get through the whole thing. So I was like, all right, I have to watch the Why I Know You're Gay.
Yeah.
So I was like, it's 2005.
which was all improv, yeah.
Yeah, you got to watch that, right? I was like, I got to see what made it in and what didn't make it in for that.
Yeah, that wasn't even, again, I mean, it's all improv, but that was just Paul Rudd and Seth Rogen in between takes.
Being bored.
Just being bored and fucking around with each other, but the cameras were rolling. So eventually they were just like, yeah, keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going.
It works. And I wish that they would have planned for it better because that could have bit way harder. But it works. But in between then, they're progressing the movie by having him call to have a date with this lady. And she says, yeah, pick me up at this time. And he says, I can't, I ride a bike. And she starts talking about a motorcycle. And the best thing of this movie is Steve Carell's reaction to being put in the, how do I say that I don't ride a motorcycle?
It's a bicycle.
It's just the way he leans into the wall and he's like, no, it's a bike. It's a bicycle. It's just so great. It's a great character. What a great story too, right? You came up with a cool character and to have it morph into something great. And I would actually argue one of the weakest scenes in the whole movie is the poker scene.
Yeah.
It's just a really weak scene. And it was the driving force for this whole thing getting made. Cool. Right there with 40-Year-Old Virgin. We would be amiss if we didn't say Wedding Crashers.
This summer, two people will come together to celebrate the sanctity of marriage.
It's wedding season, kid. Crashing weddings. We are going to have tons and tons of opportunities to meet gorgeous ladies that are so aroused by the thought of marriage that they'll throw their inhibitions to the wind.
And who's going to be there to catch them?
Grab that net and catch that beautiful butterfly, pal.
Owen Wilson.
You know how they say we only use 10% of our brains? I think we only use 10% of our hearts.
Vince Vaughn.
Tattoo on the lower back. Might as well be a bullseye.
With Christopher Walken. Wedding Crashers.
I always knew my first time would be on a beach.
First time?
We're gonna be so happy together. I love you.
So Vince Vaughn at this point is meteoric. Like this again, as we're riding the wave.
Yeah, it's just wild.
Yeah.
Between Anchorman and 40-Year-Old Virgin and all the Vince Vaughn stuff, it's just it's a tidal wave of comedy.
And it all is, you can see the pieces align and where they're going. Because even with Anchorman, Vince Vaughn shows up and has a great little cameo in it. That is just all these people are just riding this wave. And I think that's indicative of where things were coming from. You had Second City, you had the Judd Apatow world, you had the Adam McKay world from SNL, and they're all just kind of converging and throwing things out.
Right.
And Dodgeball with Ben Stiller. All of these guys are just coming together, and people are willing to give them money to make things. And Wedding Crashers is a really good one.
Claire's mom just made me grab her Hooters.
Well, snap out of it. What, a hot older woman made you feel her cans? Stop crying like a little girl.
I wasn't crying like a little girl.
They look pretty good. Are they real? Are they built for speed or for comfort? What'd you do with them? Motorboat? You play the motorboat? You motorboating son of a bitch. You old sailor, you. Where is she? She's still in the house?
What is wrong with you?
So Wedding Crashers.
Yes.
2005. Owen Wilson and Vince Vaughn.
Yes.
Like crashing weddings to get laid. Right?
Had never thought of it.
All about the poon. Right?
2005, baby.
So there's a bit of a culture shift happening in America right about now. And maybe it started. We got it started in 2004. But here we are, 2005.
Okay.
There's a scene at the beginning of the movie where they're talking about wedding season is coming up. And Owen Wilson is like, oh, how many of them are going to be cash bars? Vince Vaughn says, I got us covered. Purple Hearts.
Oh,
we won't have to buy a drink all night.
No.
Oh, yeah. Perfect.
So the movie's worldwide premiere was July 4th in London.
Yeah.
What? But the global opening was July 15th.
Okay.
Right? And that scene was in the movie. July 19th, 2005, U.S. Representative John Salazar introduced the Stolen Valor Act of 2005.
Because of this movie?
It happened that week. And that ended up being passed into law that it was a federal crime to say you had received a Purple Heart.
Wow.
And then a week later, the executives removed from the movie's website a printable Purple Heart.
Oh, no. You're kidding
No,
me.
because this representative was complaining in the media. So like, oh, we'll take down the fake Purple Heart.
Well, that's a bad idea. Yeah. Like, this is what a terrible marketing idea. Is it not? Is
it's
it not
bonus content? It's 2005,
is
right?
it not in the film now? Is it no longer in the film?
It's still in the film.
Okay.
But it's not on the website. I don't even know if the website still exists.
That's unbelievable.
But yeah, and in 2012, fast forward, the Supreme Court shot the law down saying, you can say whatever you want. You're a goddamn American citizen.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But
it's not illegal to lie to somebody else.
True. That's true.
But then they later passed a law saying that it's illegal to lie about it and profit off of it. So free sex, free drinks, I don't know if you're profiting. I don't know.
Oh,
Sounds like profit to me.
No, you can't. But pussy is invaluable.
But it shows the change in the culture
Tell that
where
to the coach.
where comedy used to just be comedy. We let the comedians get away with stuff. And then in this movie, like one guy stood up and said, no, don't make funny jokes.
Well, okay. I actually think that it's wild that it was in the movie to begin with. Like, because now with today's society, no, people would go nuts over that.
But even then, it was, I mean, maybe not quite just yet, but it was very, support the troops.
That was 2000.
If you don't believe in us going over there and those people up, you don't support our troops.
Sure.
I would agree with Scott that 2005, we were more in actual support of the troops. Because here we are 20 years later, and there's a bunch of like disabled people, and we're like, well, we've got new wars to start. We can't help you guys.
Yeah, no, I
right. Where in 2005, we actually did care about.
You're preaching to the choir about shit like that. I mean, honestly, take care of people. Like you put them in harm's way. Now let's take care of them. I 100% support that. But now you're making me remember that it would have been 2006 because it's episode 1 of season 2 of Always Sunny is the episode where Charlie is a war veteran. He's pretending to be Lieutenant Dan essentially in a wheelchair. So yeah, crazy though, to have it on your website as a printable Purple Heart is so wildly, like, I'm even offended by that. I'm offended by that. And I don't get offended by anything. It's a crazy idea. What are you talking about?
Hey, guys, want to get laid? Print this paper Purple Heart.
Paper Purple Heart.
Just laminate it.
You're not even cosplaying in it. You're like a children's coloring book of stolen valor.
You flash it like a badge. Hey, check it out.
Oh my God, that's too fun. I can't believe it. And in that website too, somebody has a copy of the data from that website somewhere. Wow, really? I'm amazed they didn't freak out and pull it from the movie.
Yeah,
because they do that all the time.
But that's when we just got it started.
Sure.
So like in 2024, it probably would have been pulled.
Yeah, it would have been pulled for theaters for a week to fix the file. Yeah.
Because Vince Vaughn had a box with 2 actual Purple Hearts in it.
Oh yeah, that's it's a good joke. I'm not gonna lie to you, it's a good joke.
Yeah, don't worry about the cash bar.
Yeah.
Free drinks all night.
Yeah. It's not a great joke, but it's a good joke. It's a good joke. And yeah, we should leave the comedians alone. I'm amazed. Has there been a movie that has been in theaters? I mean, let's talk like recently, and then pulled to fix a piece of content? Because can they just, now it's all digital, can they just update the file? Like, I would assume that it's not like a video game where you just update and it, puts it all.
So it's like iTunes, Apple just changes what they want and it's done.
It's just like a patch for a game.
Let's get it started. You can't get the original version anymore.
You can't get it started.
It's gone. You can only get it started.
I played it for my 8-year-old in the car this weekend on the way to a hockey game. The original version.
Yep.
Absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
You can get it on. You can start it on YouTube.
Okay. Yeah, YouTube you can. Thanks, YouTube. It's almost like YouTube is like, a protector of history.
It's an archive.
They're cultivating archive of things we should remember.
Except for the can't even say it.
Yeah, I don't. I think it's
the Germans in the 40s.
Oh yeah,
not allowed to say that.
No. I actually
don't remember that history.
Way out of line.
Yeah, way out of line. I actually at one point thought it would be interesting to go get a lot of the old propaganda cartoons and like put those on a YouTube page and just have a YouTube page of just that. Not because they're racist or anything, but to have it as like from a historical standpoint, I find that stuff fascinating because we have to, as a people, we have to villainize the people we're killing. We have to.
Yeah.
If we're going to go to war with you, we have to villainize.
And if you're going to hire somebody, it might as well be Dr. Seuss.
Yeah, that's just right. Or Disney. Like there's tons of the Disney stuff that's how they funded their way through their movies. I think it is a part of history because it is our government. Our government paid for that stuff.
Just like COVID.
Well, Jesus Christ. These are the lighthearted episodes. But I think it's, I thought about it where I was like, it would be interesting to just have a page where it's just like go through these and like go through in historical, like chronological order to watch like how we got to where we are. But it's interesting that we as a people just weave through like how we don't really like those ones so much, and now but
we just forget about that.
But now we don't like it. We just weave our way through, and that's what happens when you're constantly at war. Stop being constantly at war, and we wouldn't have this. Anyways, Purple Hearts and Crashing Weddings.
Oh yeah, we're talking about a movie.
Yeah, we were not talking about actual Stolen Valor.
So, fun fact: Will Ferrell played Chaz.
Yep.
Kind of a cameo, small appearance.
Yep.
If they couldn't get Will Ferrell, they wanted Nick Cage.
Oh, that would have been so much better.
That
would have been so much better.
Way better.
That would have been excellent.
I actually don't think that I know it's a funny part of the movie, but like for a Will Ferrell role, it's not a great role.
No.
Nick Cage role, that's a great role.
Completely.
Yeah.
I forget about that scene in the movie all the time. I think it's completely forgettable. And
yeah, I mean, people yell "Mom, meatloaf,"
right?
know. I think it's interesting. Those roles should go to a non-comedic actor. They're better when you have a non-comedic
Bring in
actor.
Christopher Walken.
Yeah. Or the Tom Cruise playing the
fat guy,
the fat
producer,
the producer, hairy-knuckled producer in Tropic Thunder.
Yeah.
I think those roles are better for people like that than having Will Ferrell come in, because it's like, well, Will Ferrell's been way funnier than this,
right?
But it's a comedic, funny bit. I actually think Wedding Crashers is good. I don't think it's the best Vince Vaughn film. I think a lot of people love it more than I do, but you can't go wrong with it.
It's the best, in my opinion, of the Owen Wilson Vince Vaughn trilogy. Like they're in 3 movies together. This is the best one.
It's high up there for Owen Wilson films as well. Like Owen Wilson is funny. You know, you can only so many times.
Well, Armageddon was pretty good.
Wow. Yeah, but he's such a small role in that. Like,
Yeah,
go back
it's an Owen Wilson movie.
Okay.
If he's in it, it's
Okay.
It's no I Spy.
I stand corrected. I stand corrected. All right, let's wrap.
You only
this.
need like 1 or 2. Wow.
Let's wrap this episode up. And I there's no way to do this movie justice, but the very last film we're going to talk about from 2005 is Waiting.
Well, Mitch, first thing, you ever worked in a restaurant before? Actually, well, it doesn't really matter anyway. You know, working in a restaurant's all about learning a routine. You know, everything that Dan wants me to show you, to teach you, all that can be learned in a few hours. But, if you want to work here, in this restaurant, I really think that you need to ask yourself one simple question. How do you feel about frontal male nudity?
Okay.
This was a small movie.
Yeah.
That blew up.
Yeah, for sure.
Kind of like Office Space almost, in the way that it kind of, I think, had a slow build. I don't remember this coming right out the gate being like everybody. I mean, look at what we were just talking about. 40 Version, Wedding Crashers. Those are huge hits.
Yeah,
right. You're in the shadow of Titans.
Yeah, exactly right. And this is a small film about a specific thing, right? This is restaurant culture. And it's interesting because as a customer, you view restaurants as one way. And the whole premise of this is, but back behind the closed doors, things are not what
They're
appear.
showing their balls.
And the sad truth is, it's exactly what it's like.
It is incredibly accurate. It's incredibly accurate. I mean, aside from the, showing people your balls and spitting in people's food.
Yeah. The spitting in food never happens.
But all the little stuff, don't ever worry about people spitting in your food. It does not happen.
People have too much respect for that.
Yeah. But yeah, all the little shit, it is incredibly accurate as to what goes on behind the doors in the kitchen and in the server stations.
Well, and didn't you say that the guy that wrote it, worked in one for like 7 months?
3 years.
Oh, 3 years. Was it 3 years?
Yeah.
Okay. For some reason, I thought 7 months.
Yeah, he was the writer and ended up directing it, but he sold the rights. They ended up canceling it. Okay. Rights went back to him, and it took years to get the funding put together.
Okay. Yep.
But as he was shopping the script, he was also accumulating the cast.
Mm-hmm.
So he had Dane Cook sign on early. He had Ryan Reynolds sign on. He had Ryan Reynolds before Van Wilder. He had Dane Cook before Dane Cook ever had a CD out. Yep. He had a bunch of people signed on that by the time he got the money, he got like $3 million to get this movie made.
They had all
this cast
started,
had already kind of ascended.
Yeah.
And then boom.
Well, and that's what I wanted to do with this one as well, is like Waiting is interesting because it is Ryan Reynolds. It is Dane Cook. And they're not the driving force so much. Like the movie, Ryan Reynolds nails the role.
Yeah.
But I don't think of it as like a defining role for Ryan Reynolds.
Not at all.
Yeah.
There's plenty of people.
It was Van Wilder in a restaurant.
Yes. Yeah. But it is so wildly accurate to the culture of a restaurant or a kitchen in general, right? I was a bartender for, probably like 5 years at a small Tex-Mex, Minnesota Tex-Mex restaurant. And Scott, you own your own restaurant
Yes,
now.
I own a restaurant, but I have worked every side of I've worked every position that there is in restaurants.
Yeah, you are a kitchen rat. You are of the kitchen.
And that being said, even when it hits the fan and everybody's gone and the manager has to come in and try to make orders and he's just sweating and doesn't know what the hell he's doing.
Yep.
that was not me.
No,
that was some of the other
You haven't done that one.
And I've done the managing, but I had also already done all the other shit, so I knew what I was doing. I wasn't just brought in as
you
a
could
manager.
actually fill in instead of pretending to help.
Yeah.
It's the dichotomy of a restaurant is so foreign to people that haven't participated in it. It's a weird world. Your front of house, which is your bartenders, waiters, waitresses, your your dishwashers.
Yep.
But then just right when you walk in the door, your greeters. That is a totally different role and persona of the restaurant than even the waitress.
Yeah.
Than is to the bartender. Like every single person is on everyone else.
Oh yeah.
It is nothing but everyone shitting on everyone all the fucking time. And front of house, bartenders are kind of the middle go-between.
Yeah.
Between your waitresses and your line cooks.
Yeah.
But your kitchen staff and your waitresses hate each other. They'll all go and be cordial and go have drinks and stuff. But while working.
Oh, well, yeah.
While on the clock, actively hate each other. Everything that either one of them does is the worst thing in the world to the other one. It's amazing.
For 2 hours a night.
And then.
Yep.
Oh, didn't that suck? Yeah, that sucked. Let's go have a beer.
Yeah.
Every night.
Yep.
Every single night. And you don't get out of there till, in most cases, 11, 12, 1, 2 in the morning. But it's crazy. It's like that in every single restaurant. Why?
It's an incredibly stressful job.
It is incredibly stressful.
When that lunch or dinner rush happens and it's just like all hands on deck and the second one person trips up, it just throws everybody for a loop,
Yep.
and now everybody's got to play catch up. Somebody forgot to ring in a drink, or I forgot to ring in this cheeseburger. It's like, all right, well, push everything else aside. Now we got to fix this fucking idiot's problem.
We got to make this now.
Yeah, and we're already doing everything now. But now we have to stop that and do it extra now.
Now ultra.
I think that every individual should have to go through it one time just to realize that it's chaos. It's controlled chaos, but it's only controlled because things move horizontally, right? Like the timeline will continue to move. You can pick things up and move them further ahead. So you can have the cheeseburger that got missed and pick it up and move it ahead on the timeline, but the timeline is always moving.
Yeah.
It's a conveyor belt that you have to try and the saddest thing is food has to go out about the same time. So everything should be made about the same time.
Right. If you bring 5 plates out and then have to start a cheeseburger,
yes.
you don't.
And that's just it. And some things take way longer than other things. So you time it and it's all a timing thing.
And it has to be a well-oiled machine because you have somebody running the saute station, somebody running the grill, somebody running the deep fryer.
Yeah.
And you have to say, hey man, I got this steak. It's got 5 minutes. That little thing you're going to drop in the fryer is only going to take a minute and a half.
You need to do
Everybody
it
has
in
to
4
communicate
minutes.
with everybody. You have to talk with the staff up in front and be like, okay, you got 3 minutes. I'll have your food up. While they're trying to run drinks to this new table that they just got. It's wild.
Yeah, and this movie does a great job of like immediately the first thing they do is start defining the roles of everyone. And the kitchen is defined as being a bunch of degenerates that are just potheads.
Which is pretty much true, yeah.
Totally accurate.
100%. Every single line cook is fried out of their mind the entire time. The entire time, all the time.
I believe it's Anthony Bourdain refers to it, the restaurant kitchen, as the last bastion of the degenerate. Where anything goes back there. Yep. You say whatever the fuck you want.
Oh, big time, big time, big time. So my experience with being a bartender was interesting because bartending is stressful, but it's manageable. A lot of it is communicating with people, interpersonal communication. A lot of people are just there because they got to talk to somebody for a little bit, right? Like you get a lot of people that are like, on Thursdays I'm in this hotel because I'm in town for this reason, so I come and this is my time to speak with you, right? Like I don't have any other interaction. What am I going to do? Go sit in my hotel room? So I'm there to have a conversation. You have those people, but then during the dinner rush, it is just boom, 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 boom. How fast can I do it? But then also do my job, which is to converse with people.
Right.
How do I do both of those? I had 2 experiences that almost ruined me. You were there for one of them, which was bartending, got busy. People sat down at the bar to actually eat as well, which is always a nightmare because now you're doing 3 jobs.
Right.
And then ordered a steak. The steak came out wrong. And I believe I was to blame, if I remember correctly. And then got the next steak and the steak was wrong again. And
you were to blame. You put it in wrong.
I don't remember exactly what happened, but the steak was wrong. Maybe I grabbed, because sometimes you do that too. Sometimes they get switched around. Yeah. So you grab either I had handled the wrong one. I think I grabbed the wrong one. Up a second time. And so then Scott saw this. I've got drinks piling up, and it's the ticket thing that just goes, and every time it does that, that's another thing I got to do. That's another thing I got to do. That's another thing I got to do.
Another 2 minutes.
Yep. Meanwhile, I'm trying to converse with the kitchen because at that point you can't do it through a computer quick. You got to run back and say like, "Hey, I fucked up. I got to have you do this." Now I got to go back and say, "Hey, I fucked up again." And Scott saw it in my eyes. The fear was real. The fear was real. I had reached the point of like, I'm overloaded. You overloaded me. The computer is shut down. I can't even function right now. And there's no way to get back in front of it until you have someone that then goes, I will help you.
Right.
And then you're okay. Because it is a self or a completely helpless feeling situation.
Absolutely.
There's nothing I can do.
Yeah.
There's nothing I can do.
And in a lot of kitchens, you will be just berated and broken down even further. You already feel like a piece of shit.
Yep.
But now you got...
Now you're a sandwich.
Now you got mean chef telling you fucking suck.
You suck.
And that's why I will never do that.
Yep.
And that's why you see a situation like that where you come back and I just got to laugh at you and be like, yeah, dude, you suck, but we'll get it done.
Scott, it was good having my brother there because Scott looked at me in the eyes and would go, we broke you. It broke you. I was like, you fucking broke me. You broke me. I fucking broke.
Realize you're broken. Now put it back together. Let's go.
I need to step outside for a second. To be fair, one of the most powerful moments of my life was when I started working at this Mexican restaurant. I had to work a lunch shift. It was the first one I had ever run. And you are in charge of the entire bar. So anyone that comes and sits down in the bar, you're in charge of that whole thing. And they are not going to help you. These are your customers. You get your tips. And I had a manager that just said, okay, here's blah, 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 and go. And then...
And it's a pretty big bar dining room.
And then disappeared. And it was the smartest thing she possibly could have done because I fucking panicked. Because I got overloaded. And there's no way I can do this. There's no way I can do this. I can do this. And then when I got done, she said, you did it. And I was like, I did. That sucked. And
yeah, I hated it.
I actually fucking still kind of slightly hate this person a little bit. Like that was like one of the meanest fucking things I've ever experienced in my life. It was like, I don't even know what we serve here. What do we serve here? Yeah. Like, you want brown rice? Do we have brown rice? I don't. Anyways, but that experience really, really sets a tone for everything else happens in your life. There are very few things in my life now that can get me to the point where I feel like the overload is too much. That dichotomy of working in a fucking kitchen or in a restaurant it's the most stressful thing you can possibly do.
Yeah.
And you have to do it with a smile on your face because you're trying to get them to give you a tip as well. And you're trying to keep them happy and you want to be a pleasant person. You want them to have a good experience. And then when you get back to the kitchen, it's just, fuck you guys. Seriously, fuck you.
And that's the movie Waiting.
That's exactly what the movie is. 100% that's what the movie Waiting is.
Oh, yeah. There is one more thing. You are the biggest piece of shit in this entire restaurant. I hope you burn in hell.
Me? Man, what the fuck did I do to you, man? Seriously. Oh! The goat! The goat, you bastard! Oh! That was the shit!
Hats off to them for that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right, that's 2005 in a nutshell for movies, folks. There were plenty of other films. I did watch the remake of The Longest Yard.
Okay.
It holds up. It's very 2005 though as well.
Sandler?
Yeah, Sandler. It holds up. It's pretty good.
Is that the one where Rob Schneider goes on the big no more raping rant?
I don't think so.
Oh, then what the hell movie is that?
I don't think Rob Schneider's in it.
Weird.
In 2005, Rob Schneider was in Deuce Bigelow, European Gigolo.
Oh, double gigolo. Deuce Bigelow, double gigolo. All right, Scott, final thoughts on 2005.
Good times.
Very good times.
I miss funny movies.
I miss funny movies too.
When's the last comedy that came out?
That was really funny?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice is probably funny.
It could be, maybe.
Okay.
I haven't laughed really hard in a long time, though.
2005 might have been the end of the comedy.
Well, no, it was the start of when all these guys went off on their.
I guess we got another 8-year run out of it. Yeah.
This is the buckshot right now. This is when everything gets shot out of the muzzle loader and we get spread shot. But what it does is it slowly gets further and further in between. And this is just so condensed. These funny guys were all. It is the reverse Rodriguez.
Reverse what?
I'm having a stroke.
Rodriguez?
I'm having a
reverse
stroke.
Rodriguez.
We're not in the kitchen right now. Leave me alone. This is the reverse Rodriguez.
Okay.
This is all the people coming together that were funny and making each other more funny. This is not Robert Rodriguez ruining Quentin Tarantino for a decade. Okay, folks, that's 2005. Next week, potentially, we may be doing a Weird Al episode.
Okay.
Depending. We are either going to do that next week or the following week, depending on Tim Severson's schedule. I had an experience, like I said, with my children in the car. It was just too much fun. I specifically have a Weird Al song that I laughed way too hard at, and Callie said I was pathetic for laughing so hard at it.
I hope it's not Amish Paradise.
No, I'm very excited for this. I think we should do a draft.
It's fat.
No, that's the one we put on.
Okay.
We put on it fat. But I think we should do a draft of Weird Al songs.
We could do that.
I think that's the way to do it. So,
speaking of Tim Severson,
yes.
I get such major Tim Severson vibes from Steve Carell.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Dude, put him side by side with some of the facial reactions and just the emotion that he portrays. It's really close.
Today, while I was watching behind the scenes stuff, which we literally watched the exact same stuff.
There's only so much of it on YouTube.
They have the same mannerisms.
Absolutely, dude.
And the same like weird phobias of things. Like it's really fucking weird.
Yeah. They're like the same person.
Steve Carell's got a little bit bigger nose, but other than that, same dude. But yeah, Tim Severson's going to be coming back on, and I'm excited for that. And Weird Al, I think, is a fun one. We're also in future episodes going to talk about space. I want to do a space movie draft, but we've done a lot of that though too, because Alien's going to be on there.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Armageddon's number one.
Yeah, you're gonna have. So we've done a lot of those. So I want to push it off a little bit. But I will say, of my trip to Texas, NASA, that is the thing I have to talk about. I have a take. Let's just say that. I'm not going to say which direction, but I have a take from NASA. Ladies and gentlemen, stick tuned for that. Why do I do that? I've done that a couple times now.
I don't know.
Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned for that. Thank you to the Boutros.
Yes.
Thank you to Gabriel Johnson.
If we're going to have Tim on, since he's our official movie reviewer,
yes.
And it's a Weird Al episode,
UHF?
we should have him watch UHF
Okay, there we
come
go.
and bring us a review.
There we go. All right, I appreciate that. And with that, we're done. Gabe, you've never seen the documentary Grizzly Man.
Oh, we didn't go over that.
Well, that's what we're doing right now.
I don't think I have. I
That
don't
surprises
remember. Yeah, that surprises me because I'm a documentary guy,
Well, both
and
of
I
you
would
guys are.
love to see somebody getting eaten by bear or hear. You don't get to see it; you get to hear.
You
it.
don't get to hear it either.
No,
He listens to it on with headphones with this other lady.
Like Werner Herzog, isn't that who it is?
Yes, Werner Herzog.
Werner.
And
Not
he says to the lady, "You must destroy this.
No one will ever listen.
You must never listen to this."
So we just listen to Werner listening to it.
Yeah. You watch him listen to a thing and tell somebody else, "Don't ever listen to this."
So I think it's like that guy from Louisiana who jumped in with the alligators. Said, "Oh,
help! The alligators, help!"
This is legit. You just described the movie Grizzly Man. If you've never seen the documentary Grizzly Man, go watch it. It's fantastic. But yeah, you just 100% described that. It's like, yeah, of course the bear ate you.
After like 13 years, and only because he brought some bitch with him.
Yeah, 99 problems. She's definitely the one.
And the bear.
Well, goes without saying. The bears were there the whole time. That's why he's there. He's there for the bears. Best thing from that film is him just putting his hands in the poop.
Oh my God.
Unbelievable.
This was inside her.
Oh, God. He's way, way too into touching the bear's poop.
So maybe a death sentence was in order.
I'm just gonna say this: if you talk about the poop as though you're like, yeah,
getting inside of a bear.
That's what he and even then, calm down on getting inside the bear. Come on, guy, calm down. I don't know if we need to be that sensual about any of this, but then of course they. Yeah.
It's warm. It just came from her butt. This was just inside of her. My girl. I'm touching it. It's her poop. It's Wendy's poop.